It's not dark yet, but it's getting there. The Chicago White Sox lost the finale to the Houston Astros and lost the series. They head into the day off losing two straight series and finding themselves not being able to handle what was supposed to be the easy part of the schedule. Rick Hahn has gone missing. Pedro Grifol held a meeting, and the Sox have not been able to take advantage of Luis Robert Jr.'s electric month of May. The White Sox will lick their wounds and welcome the second place Cleveland Guardians to the South Side on Tuesday.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Sox fans, welcome back to Locked On White Sox. Thank you so much for making Locked On White Sox your first listen each and every day. We're free and available on all platforms. Follow us on Twitter at Locked On Sox. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Locked On White Sox. Hey, I'm your host, Nick Morawski, a lifelong diehard Chicago White Sox fan, recording this podcast just blocks from the ballpark in beautiful Bridgeport. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Locked On White Sox is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The White Sox take on the Cleveland Guardians on Tuesday. Catch every pitch of the White Sox hometown broadcast with Sirius XM on the SXM app. Search White Sox. Our Chicago White Sox in the year 2023, supposed to be a contention year, right? Felt different to Rick Hahn heading into the season. Ready to put the past behind them, ready to start competing, getting to those championships that he talked about. Our Sox are 14-28, 9.5 games back, and arguably the weakest division in all of baseball. 14-28. The White Sox lost the series finale to the Houston Astros on Mother's Day. They lost the series and have now lost two straight series. Sox are 6-7 during this very easy month of May, right? That's what everybody said to us. Chuck Garfien just doing his job, trying to put a positive spin on things. And a lot of other people pointed it out. It's like, well, maybe the reason the Sox are scuffling in April is, sure, they're playing some bad baseball and they're injured and the bullpen's horrible, but they're playing some tough opponents. Wait till May. Look at that May schedule. They statistically have one of the more easier schedules in all of baseball. That's when they're going to make hay. That is when they are going to bounce back. They'll get some health, maybe some warmer weather. Things will start going their way. Well, here we are, middle of May, and I don't feel it. I don't know about you, and I just have no answers. The amount of people that I have heard from through, lockdownsox@gmail.com, really appreciate all of the emails, trying to get back to you as many as I can, as soon as I can. YouTube comments, stuff on Twitter, the amount of people that are saying, look, I just can't watch this team anymore. I've been a fan for decades, or I've been a fan for just a few years, or I've been a lifelong fan committed to this organization, and I just can't. I can't stomach it. It is just altogether bad. And I get it. I wish I knew. I wish I really knew what was going on. I mean, I have an idea. I think we all have an idea. You start removing some layers and you're thinking about what kind of off season the Sox had, what last year was like. And, okay, the Sox are up there in terms of payroll. But, how are they spending their money? Where is that money going? The roster construction and, the way we've paid bullpen arms. And I I don't want to put a lot on Pedro Grifol, but I have to. I mean, he's to blame with this as well. Things were supposed to be absolutely different. Now, he sold me, and I think he sold a lot of people because he said all the right things when he was hired. And of course he was. He wanted to get this fan base energized and probably even the players energized after what happened last year. He didn't really have a wow baseball resume to be the next manager of the Chicago White Sox and make this team viable, not only in the AL Central, but in the AL. So I get it. He gave a lot of tough talk, but I was always concerned of like, well, are the players going to buy into it? Are they going to rally behind it? Are they going to listen? Are they going to put these things into place that the coaching staff and Grifol have asked of them during the offseason and during spring training? And I think some players have. I think some players aren't interested, and I think there are some players that just can't, whether it's because they can't stay healthy to put that in or they just don't want to. That's not part of their game. I don't know. I'm guessing. I'm trying to figure out, has he lost, the clubhouse? Has he lost the team? There was a meeting that happened on Friday. We'll talk a little bit more about that. That's how the weekend started, this Houston series. So I'm absolutely confused. It's sickening. I can't stop, even because I'm committed right now to be doing a daily podcast for the good folks of the Locked On Network. I'm just a diehard fan as well. I can't. I've tried to stop watching this team, and now it just feels like a car crash. Like I'm in awe of what I'm seeing. And there's some good things that are happening. Cease had a nice start this past weekend. And of course, Robert Jr. is having a great May, and good to have Moncada back. But, those are just so like individual things that we can put on a pedestal and we could shine a light on. But it's all together. And that's what we were hearing from Grifol at the end of April. Hey, we're going to put this all together eventually. And maybe they do. But I just think it's going to be a little too late at this point. I mean, here we are mid-May, 14-28, 9.5 games back. The question is, can it get worse? It absolutely can get worse. That's the scary part. Not only just the results that you're going to see, the win-loss record and, guys' ERAs and statistics and this, that, and the other, but man, some of the toxic stuff that can happen behind closed doors, some of the organizational rot, that has just been untreated. This whole thing just might collapse on itself. Now that's the worst of it. But if this continues to go this way, how is the trade deadline going to look? How is the end of the season going to look? Is it going to be so far gone when they actually do start making or trying to make real change? It's like, everything has to be completely gutted, and it's a complete, rebuild. It's unbelievable where we're at right now. Just talking about this Houston series loss. It came obviously after that disgusting series in Kansas City where the Sox lost 3 of 4 to the Royals. Pedro Grifol was not pleased after that last game in Kansas City, said the Sox got outplayed and that the team lacked urgency in this series. And that starts with me, Grifol said, to be clear. And that was something that Grifol talked a lot about when he was hired and in spring training. We're going to play with urgency. April and May matter. Those games matter. They matter just as much as you're chasing a division title in September. So that's where I have to say, Grifol, either they're not listening or you don't know how to get this team motivated to play just basic fundamental baseball stuff that, the stuff that happened Saturday between Kelly and Vaughn. If you watch the game and, a chopper that was hit to Kelly, Vaughn's racing towards Kelly. Kelly's got the ball. He's like, I don't know who to throw to. Like, Vaughn, you got to stay home on that. You're new to first this year, but you're not new to first base in general. There's a lot of different things that we can kind of, needle at. But, when you put all that stuff together, you start realizing, okay, now I could see how this team is 14-28, along with a lot of other underperformances. So there was a closed door meeting before Friday's game against Houston. Rick Hahn did not talk to the media. Boy, was I steaming about that when I heard that he was not going to be talking to the media. Now, I haven't heard a reason yet. I've tried to find if there was a valid reason, or hopefully everything's okay with him and his family. But that is just cowardice if he just was hiding. And a lot of people will say, well, what is he going to say, even if he did get in front of the media? Say something. I mean, come out and get in front of a camera and just say, I am not stepping down as general manager. The silence is worse. I mean, you got to say something right now. That is just gutless to hide. Again, I don't know if that's actually what was happening, but man, he will get in front of the media before every home series, and that did not happen on Friday. This was Grifol on that meeting that was had, and the reasons why. Maybe it's because we're 13-26. Maybe that's the reason. Sox manager Grifol provided as a summary of the cause of the meeting. I'm not going to sit here and talk about the things that we do and the conversations we have in private. The one thing I can tell you is that we address things, but what happens in there stays in there. I'm not going to elaborate too much on it, but rest assured, we address things as they come up and we feel as they need to be addressed. So kind of clear as mud there from Pedro Grifol. Again, when Pedro Grifol was hired, this is what he said: we will be fundamentally sound. We will play with passion, pride for this uniform. This means something. We will respect the game, our fans, and earn their trust. We'll be prepared to control the strike zone on both sides of the ball. We will work hard and play winning baseball every night. We will definitely hold each other accountable. It's tough to buy into that right now. It's tough to just step away and say, okay, I think you really did mean it. It's just maybe it's not working yet. I just don't think he's been able to figure that out. And it's a combined effort. But, again, he's saying what we all wanted to hear. But that quote kind of makes your stomach turn with this 14-28 start. Speaking of starts, our starting pitchers, not good. ERA wise, Giolito now sitting 3.86, which isn't terrible. Clevenger 4.74, Cease 4.86, Kopech 5.74, and Lynn 7.51. There was some highlights this past weekend against Houston. There was a lot of lowlights. Saturday brought some excitement, but Friday was a confusing outing for Kopech, which really set the tone for a roller coaster weekend. I'm going to chop all that up more in a moment. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. So Sunday was a tough one. Close game, very different from, I would say, the previous Tampa series. That one was kind of rough. I'm trying to think. The previous time we saw Houston was in Houston, of course, way back when, the first series of the season, when we split and it felt like a win. Boy, I wish I would have enjoyed that a little bit more. I wish I would have enjoyed that home opener, or I should say opening day or opening night against Houston with Cease on the hill and what he did and the Sox winning that game. I wish I would have just enjoyed that a little bit more. I took that for granted. And here we are seeing Houston, second time of the year, this time on the south side, the return of Jose Abreu. He had the whole video montage on Friday. I don't think he really gave the crowd its due. It kind of just popped out of the dugout and gave a fist pump. I was looking for a little bit more, maybe getting out there and kind of really tipping the cap or helmet or whatever it is for an extended period of time. But anyways, he really didn't do much in the series at all. What a start he has been having. Wow, let's just jump right into Sunday. Sox lost 4-3. Giolito was on the mound, and he's been doing pretty well at home. 1.37 ERA coming into the game, a 145 average against, average for six, and averages 6 strikeouts for 6 1/3 innings, only 1 home run allowed. And Luis Robert Jr. coming into the game. I mean, his AL rankings in May coming into Sunday's game, batting average first, 415, home runs 5, tied for first, RBIs 13, first, runs tied for first, 13, slugging 878, OPS 1.388 first. Again, he was benched on April 29th and then has gone on an offensive tear during May. Unfortunately, the Sox just haven't been able to take advantage of it and put wins together. Prior to the series finale, so prior to Sunday, the Sox returned infielder Jake Burger from his injury rehab assignment at Class AAA Charlotte and reinstated him from the 10-day injured list. An option catcher, Carlos Perez, hey, we hardly knew you, back to Charlotte. Giolito, not bad. It was just a really rough first inning. His line on Sunday, 6 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 0 walks, which was great, 6 strikeouts, gave up a home run. ERA now sits again at 3.86 through 88 pitches. So Gio gave up 3 runs in the first inning, threw somewhere around 25, 27 pitches in that inning, and then settled down after that. And then that 0 walks, which was great. This was post-game. A huge part of a starting pitcher's job is to set the tone early and keep momentum on our side. I failed to do that, Giolito said. 3-run first inning, just expletive. Really wanted to win this series, and the reason we lost is because of my first inning there, said Gio, who went again 6 innings, killed momentum for us, handed it over to the other side, and then we had to play coming out of a hole. So obviously very frustrated with that. But now we move on, off day, and go win the next series. He's tough on himself, which I think he should be. He had a great stretch of solid outings there. Just kind of had that rough inning, but there's no offense, or little offense, I should say. And when you give a team like that, when you're not really able to score in bunches, when you put an offense in a hole like that, it is doomed. This is what Jake Burger said, who provided some power in Sunday's game. Burger said in post, we're just obviously going to keep working hard. I feel like we keep beating on the same drum, but we have the talent in here. It's just putting it together and getting results on the field now. That's a great politician line there by Burger. And again, what else is he supposed to say? What else is anybody supposed to say? Except, probably what maybe some people are feeling is just, it kind of feels like, we don't have answers. We have no idea what to do. And we're all kind of a bit just shocked right now. But the Sox have not been able to put it all together. That's been the problem. And I don't know if they can. Bullpen, not bad on Sunday. Santos, Bummer, Lopez, 3 innings, only 2 hits, 0 runs, 0 walks, and 2 strikeouts. That's promising. Sox offense, 3 runs, 7 hits, 4 extra base hits, home run, Robert and Burger. Robert 2 for 4, double and home run. I mean, he had a decent series. Zavala, boy, bat has been ice cold. And with Yaz now being hurt, they don't want him to go to the IL, or they don't think he's going to go to the IL. He's your guy right now. He defensively okay. I don't mind him, but man, that offense now it's just that's another wasted spot in the roster. So Saturday, prior to Saturday's game, infielder Elvis Andrus went to the 10-day IL with a strained left oblique, and the Sox reinstated Romy Gonzalez from the injured list. Now Yaz was scratched before Saturday's game. Pedro Grifol said Yasmani Grandal was scratched from the lineup because his hamstring was bothering him. Sox will see if Grandal can go on Sunday, which he wasn't. If not, he'll miss the Astros series, take advantage of Monday's off day, and hope he'll return Tuesday. Sox don't anticipate an IL trip. So, keeping him around on the roster, similar to what the Sox did with Moncada during that series in Minnesota way back when, kind of kept him on the roster, wasted spot. He didn't play, and then he eventually went on the IL. So I have a weird feeling that's what's going to happen to Yaz. Hopefully I'm wrong, but we'll see. And then, Hanser Alberto, according to Pedro Grifol, will get the bulk of the playing time at second base with Andrus sidelined. And I have a problem with that. At this point, I don't know I don't even know if Elvis Andrus comes back, right? He will, but you just cut bait on Elvis Andrus. Aside from creating, the rally jacket and hat and being able to provide some, input on what happened to a Texas Rangers team that he was on that scuffled years ago and how they were able to right the ship, what is he really bringing you? I think he does probably bring some clubhouse vibes and some positivity, but I'd rather see Sosa at this point at second. Let him go down with the ship. He might be what our future is. I don't think Elvis Andrus is the future at all for the White Sox. So that's kind of where we're at in making decisions. That's just my thought. But we'll see. It looks like Hanser Alberto will get time at second, which he did on Sunday. On Saturday, it was the bobblehead. Sox beat the Houston Astros 3-1. Cease 6 innings, 4 hits, 0 earned runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 4.86 ERA at this point. The bullpen, 3 innings. Lopez struggled, but Kelly and Graveman were sharp. Sox offense, 3 runs, 13 hits, 3 for 10 with runners in scoring position. Moncada had 2 doubles, and Luis Robert Jr. a home run and a couple RBIs. If we play like that consistently, we're going to be pretty deadly, Cease said. We're showing what we're capable of. Now it's just consistency with it. He was pretty locked in from pitch one. Sox manager Pedro Grifol said, again, every outing you're going to have a crisis once or twice. He had it in the first inning with 2 outs. He made pitches, and then he was able to settle down from there with 2 outs and continue to do what he did. Pedro Grifol suggested Tim Anderson isn't fully 100% yet after a quick return from his left knee sprain. He's regularly playing with his left knee taped up. Anderson agreed, saying, I'm grinding. So Saturday, it was good to see Cease return to form. I don't know if you can live on just 3 runs, and I don't know if you can always just rely on someone being as sharp as Cease was, but yeah, they put everything together at that point, and great pitching can beat good hitting, and that's what happened on Saturday. It was the Eloy Jimenez High Mom bobblehead. You can see it over my shoulder. I thought it was going to be maybe the weather did something, or just the fact that the Sox are a tough watch, but it wasn't as populated as I've seen other bobblehead giveaways, or even that Sox hockey jersey. I think that was a more popular game, but not a bad giveaway. Good to see a Sox win on Saturday. Friday, rough start. Sox lost to the Astros 5-1. There was a rain delay. Didn't start till 9:20. Through 4 innings, Kopech walked 4, hit 1 batter, and allowed a run on a sac fly, and didn't surrender a hit. Kopech walked 2 more in the 5th and gave up his first hit, a 2-out run-scoring double by Kyle Tucker, just out of the reach of sliding left fielder Andrew Benintendi. Kopech's final line, 4 2/3, 1 hit, 2 earned runs, 6 walks, 0 home runs, 5 strikeouts. His ERA 5.74. He threw 94 pitches. I felt like I had good stuff, but it goes without saying that we've all been around this game long enough to know how the importance of throwing strikes is. Kopech said, to say the least, I didn't do that well on Friday. I got taken advantage of and lost a lot of momentum for the boys. It's an unfortunate one. I haven't had the start to the season I want. I know we haven't as a team either. I think what showed Friday is I was pressing. If we want to turn things around, then we can't press. I can only speak for myself, but that's what happened Friday. Folks, it's May 2023, and I still don't know what we have in Michael Kopech, and that's crazy to me. You see some flashes here and there. You see the life he has on his pitches. He just seems like sometimes it's just, whoa, right between the ears. And he said it right. He was pressing. There was an emotional situation. He was barking at, I think, Dusty Baker. I don't know what happened there, but sometimes it's just hey, man, you got to just calm down a little bit. You can't get that emotional. Again, I don't know what it was all about, but his control, it's not sustainable. He just has not been able to put it together, and he's right on. Not the start that he was looking for, not the start I was looking for out of Michael Kopech. Sox offense on Friday, 1 run. It was a solo homer in the second inning by Luis Robert Jr. 3 hits, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Sox were 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position. Astros starter J.P. France, it was his second start of the season. And his line against our White Sox, 6 2/3 of inning, 3 hits, 1 earned run, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. Rough weekend for the Sox. Really going all the way back. It's been about a rough week for the White Sox, including Kansas City. So May is halfway over, and the Sox have really done little to produce confidence that things will get better. More on that in a moment. So I guess what now? I mean, you're asking yourself this, other White Sox fans asking each other. It's all over, Twitter, social media, Facebook, Reddit, wherever you go to have Sox chats that aren't in person. A lot of just shoulder shrugging of, I don't know. This was supposed to be the month, right? May was supposed to be the month. That Royals series really, it affected me. I cannot believe they lost 3 of 4. I absolutely not. After what they did in Kansas City and the previous, they started to have some momentum. I was like, they're gonna at least split, but they'll take 3 of 4. They have to. This is the time where they turn things on. So I don't know. I mean, Sox offense ranked 24th in all of baseball, 11th in the AL. Sox starting pitching ranked 29th in baseball, 14th in the AL. Thank you to Oakland. We're not in the cellar. Sox bullpen ranked 29th in all of baseball, 14th in the American League. Thank you, Oakland. And with a 14-28 record, Sox have the 3rd worst winning percentage in all of baseball. Their minus 71 run differential is 2nd worst in all of baseball. Thank you again to Oakland. I think we see Oakland towards the end of June. That should be an interesting series. So where's the hope, if there is hope? I don't know. I really don't know. You can keep going with health, but we keep having problems. Guys leaving, they keep trying to, fix the roster, make different changes here and there, musical chairs. Maybe we're going to try this. Maybe we're going to try that. I mean, there've been some bullpen arms that I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable with. Moncada looked like, he was swinging the bat well. Of course, you got Luis Robert Jr. Will we get Eloy Jimenez back soon? I mean, that might not be for another couple weeks. Starting pitching just hasn't been reliable. And that's what you need when going through these types of, stretches. And it's more than just stretches right now. You need to rely on your pitching. That can keep you afloat until your bats figure it out. It happened in 2021, and it was nowhere near what we're dealing with right now. That was just a sluggish start, and we had injuries. But pitching was outstanding. And now it's just, You can't really rely on much, just individual things here and there, but that's not enough. Individual stuff is not going to be able to produce team wins that this team win. This team needs, to go on like a 10, 12, 15 game run, 15 out of 17 games. I mean, something ridiculous like that. And just pray that the Twins don't completely bury us, or the Guardians. So I don't know. They're a hard watch right now. I appreciate you absolutely tuning in. Misery loves company. Hopefully this has been somewhat therapeutic. Come at me with comments. We can talk about this together. LockedOnSox@gmail.com. But really appreciate you making this podcast part of your daily routine. You can find the Locked On White Sox podcast absolutely everywhere you find your podcast. We're on Twitter @LockedOnSox. You can find me on Twitter @Nick_GGTB. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Sox take on the Guardians on Tuesday on the South Side. Catch every pitch of the White Sox hometown broadcast with Sirius XM on the SXM app. Search White Sox. Thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen every day. Hey, everydayers, on the next episode, I will get you ready for the Guardians series. Appreciate you making time for the Locked On White Sox podcast. I'm Nick Borowski. Until next time, go Sox.